Hi, I am not a native speaker. I will keep on reading Fluent Forever, How to Learn Any Language Fast and Never Forget It. By Gabriel Weiner. Comprehensible input. Let's get a bit more precise. Kids don't learn their language from just any kind of language input. The only input that seems to matter is input that kids can understand. In linguistic circles, this is known as comprehensible input. The basic idea is this: kids need to understand the gist of what they hear in order to learn a language from it. If you wave a cookie in front of a toddler's face and say, "Do you want a cookie?" She's not going to have any problems understanding exactly what you mean, even if she's never heard of cookies before. Physical objects, body language, and interaction all serve as a sort of universal translator that helps kids make sense of their first words. It turns these words into comprehensible input. Later, once they have figured out what cookies are, you can ask them whether they want a cookie without actually holding one, and they'll know precisely what are you talking about. So, in contrast, you can teach a kid Japanese by merely showing him Japanese TV shows. Even if you sit him in front of the TV for hundreds of hours, TV doesn't make enough sense. So this is missing that it's missing that universal translator, real cookies, and real interactions, and so it's not comprehensible input. At least until we make TVs that can bake and serve cookies on all that. But well, that's science fiction nowadays. Okay, so the only way to teach a kid a new language is by finding a real person to speak with them in that language. Later, with enough comprehensible input from people, kids can learn to understand television, at which point you and your cookie become much less interesting than Cookie Monster and his cookie. So, if you ask linguistics how kids do this, most of them will tell you about a language learning machine hidden within the brain of every child. The nature of this machine has been the subject of raging linguistic debate. Perhaps kids possess a language machine, or perhaps it's a language plus everything else machine. But both sides agree that kids have some sort of awesome pattern crunching machine in their heads. So every kid can take in sentence from their parents, chip them up, and automatically spit out perfect grammar by their sixth birthdays. So, and unfortunately for us, the machine in their heads never stops working. If we want to learn a new language, we just need to learn how to use it. The grammatical genius of adults. How do we know that all adults retain their language machines. This certainly doesn't seem true. Kids can boast 100% success rate. No one fails to learn their native language by the age of 6, and yet adults can spend years studying a language without any trace of success. Since no one has actually found the language machine in our brains, after all, the idea came out of linguistics rather than neuroscience. Sorry. We can poke it or zap it to see whether it's working. But we can look at the output of that machine, the sentences that kids produce when they are just starting to learn a language. And we can corroborate. Sorry. Oh, I am just sleeping right now, And we can compare those sentences to what we observe in adults starting to learn a second language. So when kids learn languages, they follow a series of predictable stages. In English, for example, they begin with simple sentences. The other symbols are sleep, eat, work. Stories from earlier: birdie go, the bird has gone. Doggy jump, the dog is jumping. Shortly before they reach 3 years of age, they begin to use the termination eng. So, form of verbs, for example, doggy jumping. Okay, within 6 months, they have added the irregular past tense: birdies went, and is, that is big. So then finally come the regular past tense verbs: doggy jumped, and the present tense verbs in the first person: daddy eats. Every English speaking kid goes through these stages in the same order. According to researchers, you will never find a kid who learns to say mommy works before mommy working. So it's like that. If you look at the sentences produced by adults learning a second language, you wouldn't expect to see any patterns whatsoever. After all, where kids always learn language from their families and friends, adults learn languages in all sorts of ways. Some take structured classes, some move to foreign countries and immerse themselves, some read books, and some fall in love and learn from their boyfriends or girlfriends. Add to this the thousand of possible native language and adults may speak originally, and you have a receipt for total irregularity. There's no reason to expect that a Japanese teenager learning English from his girlfriend will have anything in common with a German woman learning English from the textbook. So, yet, if you monitor adults learning a second language, you find something completely mystifying. That German woman with her English textbook follows the exact same developmental stages as that Japanese guy with his American girlfriend. The German may progress through her stages faster. German, after all, is fairly similar to English, but she won't skip any of them. Not only that, but both of these English students will follow developmental stages that closely resemble that development of child speech. Like the kids, they start out with eng, he watching television, and only later learn is, he's watching. Okay, so they master the irregular past tense, he fell. Before the regular past tense, he jumped. Toward the very end of their development, they master the third person present tense. He eats the cheeseburger. So these results are bluffing. I don't know what it means, bluffing. Sorry guys, I have to search this word because I don't get it. Bluffing, blah blah blah. What it means? Okay. Yeah, I get it. These results are bluffing. It's a lie. They are cheating us. Okay, so in part because they don't have anything to do with the order of language textbooks and classes. English students usually encounter sentences from the last developmental stages, like he eats the cheeseburger, within their first week of classes. They can successfully learn to use a late stage rule, he plus eat, he eats. In the slow-paced world of homework and tests, but they invariably forget that same rule whenever they try to speak. Speech is too fast, and students just don't have enough time to apply their grammar rules conscientiously. Conscientiously. So I have a problem with this word. Okay, so in their speech, they have to walk through each of their developmental stages in order. He eating carrot. He's eating a carrot. Yesterday he ate a carrot. He eats carrots daily. Like kids, no English students will blurt out his eats hamburgers because before he's eating, unless they have enough time to plan out their sentences in advance, consciously apply the right grammar rules, and say them out loud. As far as researchers can tell, this is simply the order with which the human brain picks up English, period. And while some learners can move through these stages more quickly than others, no amount of drilling a particular grammar rule, I eats, he eats, we sit, she sits, they fall, it falls, will enable a student to keep a developmental stage ever. Naturally, it's not just English. While the developmental stages look different from language to language, every language has a particular developmental order, which children and second language learners alike will inevitably follow on their way to fluency. The most plausible explanation for this rigid, unavoidable developmental stages is this: our language machine never turns off. When we learn a second language, we develop like children because we learn like children, okay? If we feed our language machine enough comprehensible input, then we will automatically learn our new language grammar just as we did as kids. Okay, it's great. I do agree about this, but I just thought about that before reading this book. This is not. I know. Yeah, it's true, but it is not a new. It's not news for me. Okay, this is. I thought about that before. Oh, okay. So kids seem to succeed. Okay, I'm so tired. I can't even think. Kids seem to succeed at language learning where adults fail, but that's only because they get much more input than we do. In a kid's first 6 years of life, they are exposed to tens of thousands of hours of language. Wow, yeah, I mean, if we have that time, we can do this. But if you have if you are working and you have to talk every day more than 8 hours in your native speaker, that makes even more impossible to reach your goals, and that can be frustrating. Yeah, that can be frustrating. But with practice, you can do everything. So, yeah. That is the magic tool, the practice. Practice and effort. Practice and effort, guys. Every day. To incorporate that language, that target language, into our everyday life. To read and to speak every day in that language or in those languages, if it's not just one. So, in our few years of language classes in school, we are lucky to hear more than a few hundred hours, and many of those hours are spent talking about a language rather than talking in a language. It's no wonder our language machines don't seem to work. They are starving for input. If we had Spanish speaking adults talking to us for 12 to 16 hours a day for 6 years, we would probably speak Spanish at least as well as your average Spanish speaking 6-year-old. To be fair, kids do possess some innate advantages over adults. They don't worry about making mistakes. Okay, first point. Listen to me. They don't worry about making mistakes. That's important. That's an important thing. And by the age of 1, their ears are perfectly tuned to sounds of their native language. But adults possess gifts of their own. We are very good at spotting patterns, and we have developed better learning strategies than tutors and preschoolers. Take that, kids. If we stop comparing kids with thousands of hours of language exposure to adults with hundreds of hours, We will see a surprising trend. On average, adults learn languages faster than kids do. Yeah, so with these fantastic words, I end today because I'm done, I want to sleep right now. Thank you, guys.